Hello everyone, I am Dr. Bindu Malviya, Professor Tirthankar Mahavir University, Muradabad. I welcome you all today to this lecture on entrepreneurship development, and today we will be discussing about the industrial sickness. So students, nowadays so many industries are becoming sick because of various reasons, because of the causes such as under capacity utilization, high debts. They are not able to upgrade themselves. They are becoming obsolete due to labor problems, due to so many regulatory reasons. So today we will be discussing on all these aspects, and in this session I will be covering the introduction of industrial sickness, what are the characteristics of industrial sickness, what are the characteristics of sick industries. We will also see some examples of sick industries, and we will discuss the various causes, the various reasons of industrial sickness, and what is the role which is played by the government, other agencies such as BIFR, CDR in the revival of the industrial sickness. So to start with, let us discuss what is a sick industry. A sick industry refers to an industrial unit or sector that is experiencing significant financial distress and operational difficulties, rendering to unable to operate profitably. These units often face continuous losses, low production capacity utilization, high debt levels, and various other challenges that impair their ability to sustain and grow. Industrial sickness can also affect the individual companies or the entire sector depending on the underlying issues and the economic conditions. So the key characteristics, the main characteristics of any sick industry are there are operational losses, continuous losses over an extended period of time. There is significantly underutilization of installed production capacity, causing low capacity utilization. There is excessive borrowing, leading to the high debt to equity ratios, and there is a decline in the sale because of decrease in the sales volume, in the market share, demand. There are other characteristics like there is a cash flow problem, insufficient cash flows, which is difficult, which makes difficult to meet the operational and financial obligations, and there is an accumulation of unsold stock. There is a high level inventory which causes high inventory costs. So these are the main characteristics of any sick industry. Now let us see what is industrial sickness. So students, industrial sickness refers to a situation where industrial units become unviable, and they face financial distress, leading them to their inability to operate profitably. Industrial sickness can result from various factors, including management inefficiencies, obsolete technology, then financial mismanagement, economic turndowns, and market competition. These are some characteristics of sick industries. The sick industries suffers continuous losses over a period of time due to the inability to generate sufficient revenue to meet the operational costs. Second thing is there is low capacity utilization, under capacity utilization due to the inefficiencies in the production process and resource utilization. They suffer high debt levels due to the excessive borrowings, and due to the difficulties in serving the debt due to poor cash inflows. They suffer the problem of declining sales and market share. So due to this problem, they are not able to compete effectively in the market, and it causes reduction in their sales volume and the loss of market share. There is a problem of cash inflow. Due to insufficient cash inflow, they face the problem of meeting the operational and financial obligations, and the liquidity issues also affect the day-to-day operations in the problem of inadequate funds. Then there is a high inventory level which is accumulated because there is no demand, there is reduced demand, the finished goods remains unsold, and this causes increased holding costs and potential obsolescence of inventory. Then another reason is the technological obsolescence. These industries are not able to upgrade, they are not able to update the technology, by virtue of which they are using the outdated technology, leading to inefficiencies and higher production cost. And this particular problem causes inability to adopt modern manufacturing practices. Labor issue is another very vital problem. There is high labor cost and low productivity due to the there are a lot of industrial disputes because the companies, these industries are not able to fulfill the demands of the labor. There is a lot of labor unrest. All these lead to affecting the operations. Let us see some examples of sick industries. Basically, the following industries are found to be becoming sick. So first is the textile industry. It includes National Textile Corporation, Hooghly Mills, that is a jute industry. Then there is sickness in the steel industries. Companies like Hindustan Steel Works Construction Limited, IISCO Steel, which is a unit of SAIL, are suffering from industrial sickness. In the automobile sector, Premier Automobile Limited, and in the engineering and heavy industry sector, the Hindustan Machine Tools is also undergoing industrial sickness. Then in the electronics and consumer goods sector, the BHEL, that is the Bharat Heavy Electrical Limited, and Indian Telephone Industries Limited, that is ITI, are few examples of sick industries. Now let us discuss the industries in detail. So first we will discuss the textile and jute industries. In the previous slide we have seen some examples. We will be discussing in more detail now. So Industrial Textile Corporation. So this organization was established to manage the affairs of six textile undertakings which were taken over by the government. So the major issue of sickness was obsolete machinery, poor management, high labor cost, and competition from synthetic fibers, due to which there was a decline in the production. There was losses, and which led to the financial distress and closures. Another industry which we were talking about is the Hooghly Mills. This is a jute industry. This particular company is located in West Bengal, and the major issues related to the sickness include decline in the global demand for jute products. there is a high labor cost, outdated technology, and competition from the synthetic materials. So due to which many jute mills became unviable. They underwent the losses, and which led to closures and worker layoffs. Now coming to the steel industry. So under this particular industry, the best example is Hindustan Steel Works Construction Limited, that is HSCL. So this company is a government enterprise which involved in the construction of steel plants and other industrial projects. The main problem which the enterprise was facing is the poor project management. There were delays in the project execution, high costs, high fixed costs, and the financial mismanagement. So all these led to the operational inefficiencies, financial losses, and inability to compete with private players. As a result, this industry became sick. Next example is the IISCO steel plant that is based in Uranpur. This particular organization is a unit of Steel Authority of India Limited, which is located in West Bengal. The major issue faced by this particular enterprise was obsolete technology, high production costs, poor labor productivity, and inability to compete in the global market. Because of all these issues, the company became sick. The plant faced significant financial losses, and it required substantial government support for the modernization. As far as the automobile industry is concerned, the best example which we can discuss with respect to this sickness is Premier Automobiles Limited, that is PAL. So this particular company is one of the India's oldest automobile manufacturer, known as Premier Padmini Cars. So it was facing sickness due to the outdated technology, lack of innovations, inability to compete with the market, inability to compete with the modern foreign cars manufacturers which were entering into the India market. So because of all these challenges, all these problems, there was a decline in the sales, there was financial losses, and eventually it led to the closure of the operations. Now coming to the engineering and heavy industries. So under this industry, the best example is Hindustan Machine Tools, that is HMT. It is a government company, it is a government-owned company which is specialized in manufacturing of machine tools, watches, and tractors. The company faced challenges related to the technological obsolescence, overstaffing, high production cost, and stiff competition from the private and foreign players. So because of all these problems, the company financial losses, declining in the market share, and ultimately it led to the closure of several units. Next is the electronics and consumer goods. So under this sector, the best example which can be discussed is the Bharat Heavy Electricals Limited, that is BHEL. So this is a leading public sector enterprise in the power plant equipment sector. Now, due to the project delays, cost overruns, and due to the lack of modernization, due to the competition from the private and international companies, the company went into financial distress, and it reduced the profitability, and there was a need for reconstructing and financial support from the government. Another good example which can be discussed here is the Indian Telephone Industries Limited, that is ITI. So this is also a government-owned telecommunication equipment manufacturer company. Due to the obsolete technology, poor management, high employee cost, and competition from the private players, the company suffered continuous losses, due to which there were other issues also, like operational inefficiencies and high reliance on the government bailouts. So all these factors led to the sickness of this particular company. Now students, let us discuss what are the various causes of industrial sickness. So it includes various factors such as management inefficiencies, technological obsolescence, financial mismanagement, economic factors, market competition, labor issues, labor problems, and regulatory and policy related issues. So as far as this particular factor is concerned, related to the management inefficiencies, this includes poor strategic planning, which includes lack of vision and ineffective decision making by the top level management. So due to the lack of vision, there is absence of long-term goals and strategic directions that lead to the reactive rather than proactive management. Inability to make timely and sound decisions based on the market trends and the internal analysis leads to ineffective decision making, and it is also a part of management inefficiency. The other factor related to management inefficiencies include operational inefficiencies. It consists of inefficiency related to the processes, related to the poor inventory management. So due to the outdated and poorly designed operational processes can lead to wastage and higher cost, causing inefficient process. Due to the excess inventory or stock outs, there can be disrupt of production and increase holding cost, which may lead to poor inventory management. And very important aspect is related to the leadership issues. So due to the inadequate leadership, there may be problem of resistance to change. So all these factors may also lead to the management inefficiencies. So inadequate leadership may be caused due to the incompetent or inexperienced leadership, which can fail to guide the company effectively. Due to the management's reluctance to adapt a new technology or method or market conditions, the company may not be ready to adopt all these changes. So this may lead to the resistance to change. Now, the another factor which may cause industrial sickness is the technological obsolescence. So this particular factor includes issues related to the outdated technology, inadequate research and development investments, and also includes various issues related to continued use of outdated machinery and the lower productivity due to the high maintenance cost. All these lead to the technology adaptation issues. So there is a failure to adapt new technologies which can also result in the competitive disadvantage. As far as the research and development activities are concerned, the company may not be so innovative. There is a lack of innovation due to the insufficient investment in the research and development. This can affect the product and the process innovation. The company is not able to modernize due to the limited resources or willingness to invest in the modernizing production facilities. So all these are the factors relating to the technological obsolescence. The next is the financial mismanagement. So as we all know that finance is the lifeblood of any company. So if it is inadequate, if it is not managed properly, if it is not appropriated properly, so all this will lead to many problems, and the company may become sick. So this particular aspect includes excessive borrowing. When due to the excessive borrowing, the company may face problem like high debts and poor debt management. Then there also may be mislocation of the funds. The company may not be competent to make the proper allocation of the capital, and there is another problem related to financial mismanagement, which is related to insufficient working capital. There is a problem of cash inflows and financing of day-to-day expenses. So all these are the factors. So let us discuss one by one. So excessive borrowings, under this particular aspect, there are high debt levels due to the over reliance on the borrowed funds and strained cash flows due to high interest payments. Inefficient management of debt can also lead to financial instability, which may cause poor debt management. As far as misallocation of funds is concerned, the funds may be directed towards the unproductive or non-core activities, which may affect the core and productive activities, which may lead to improper capital utilization. And there's a lack of financial control. The weak financial controls may cause misuse of the funds and financial irregularities. Another factor related to the inadequate working capital, here the factors such as cash flow problems, inventory financing may be identified. So due to the poor management of receivables and payables, it may lead to liquidity issues. Due to the insufficient inventory financing, due to the inadequate finance of inventory, there can be disruption in the production cycle. So all these may make the industry suffer losses. Another important factor is the economic factors. So these factors are beyond the control of any industry. So this may also lead to the closure, or there may be a need to re-establish the company. So this particular factor includes economic turndowns, market fluctuations, foreign exchange risk. So under the economic turndowns, there may be issues related to the recession and inflation, which may affect the functioning of the company. So periods of economic recession can lead to reduced demand for the products and services. Due to the inflation, there may be increase in the cost of the raw material and labor, and squeezing the margins of the company. Then the next factor is the market fluctuations, which are caused due to the imbalance in the demand and supply factor due to the commodity price volatility in the market. So as far as demand supply imbalances are concerned, there may be fluctuations in the demand and the supply, which can lead to unsold stock or production bottlenecks. The next factor is the commodity price volatility. Due to the volatility in the prices of key inputs such as the oil, metals, agricultural products, and other products as well, all these can impact the cost of the products. And then the foreign exchange risk. There is a lot of challenge from the foreign market due to the foreign exchange. So due to which there may be fluctuation in the currency, and adverse changes in the exchange rates can affect the cost of imported materials and the comprehensive exports. Another important factor is the market competition. So due to the intense competition, the competition may be from domestic competitors or from international players. So both both factors can affect the growth and development of any organization. So due to the domestic competition, due to the increase in the domestic competition from the local players, which may erode the market share and the margins of the industry. The global players with high advanced technology and better cost structures can out compete the local industries, and which may cause closure and make the company survival very difficult. Another factor is the changing consumer preferences. The consumer preferences keeps on changing due to the change of trends and consumer tastes, likes and dislikes. So in the demand, there will be changes in the consumer preferences and trends, which can render existing products obsolete. This factor is a very crucial factor nowadays, due to the entry of so many competitors and due to the availability of variety in the various goods. A lot of substitutes are available for existing products. Then there may be a problem of brand loyalty. Due to the difficulty in building and maintaining the brand loyalty in the competitive market, the company may face the challenge of market competition. Another factor related to the labor is the high labor cost and low productivity, which may be caused due to the various factors. Let us see what are these factors. So high labor cost may arise due to the wage issues. The company may not be able to meet the wage of may not be able to meet the demand of the labor due to the rising labor cost, and without corresponding productivity increases in the profitability. And another factor is the labor regulations. So there are strict labor regulations and laws which causes very limited flexibility in managing the workforce. Another factor is the low productivity. This low productivity may be due to the deficiency in the skill among the laborers. It may be due to the industrial disputes, industrial unrest. So problems like frequent strikes, lockouts, labor's unrest all this can disrupt production and affect the morale of the laborers. So moving ahead to the regulatory and policy issues. This is also one of the important factor for the industrial sickness. This includes unfavorable government policies, bureaucratic hurdles, trade policies. So let us see how these factors impact the organizations. So under the unfavorable government policies, due to the high taxes, high duties, all this will reduce the competitiveness. Another thing is the subsidies and incentives, which are very inadequate, and there is absence of, and in the absence of these subsidies and incentives, the particular industry is discouraged for the investment in the technology and expansion. Bureaucratic hurdles is also a very important problem for the companies, it includes red tapeism, corruption. So these are found very much in today's scenario. So due to the red tapeism, there is a delay in obtaining the licenses, the permits, approvals, again, which may hinder the operations. This corruption is another important issue at various levels, which can increase operational cost and which may also lead to the unfair practices. As far as trade policies are concerned, there is restrictions on imports. There are certain export barriers. Again, this may affect the operation of the industries. So as far as the import restrictions are concerned, due to the restrictive import policies, which limits the access to the essential raw materials and the technology, may cause hurdle for the industry. Then the barriers to the exports can reduce market opportunities and lead to over reliance on the domestic market. This is again a very big challenge. Another very important factor is the market and distribution issues. Now, under this particular factor, issues related to the supply chain disruptions, distribution networks, these are very common to this particular factor. So under the supply chain disruptions, there are logistic challenges. There is a problem due to the dependence on single supplier. So due to the inefficient logistics and supply chain management, there may be delays and which may increase the cost. And due to the over reliance on the single supplier, this can cause risk if the supplier faces any issues and not able to meet the demand in time. There are a lot of issues like country like India, which is a developing country. So there may be issues related to the distribution channel due to the weak distribution channels, inadequate or inefficient distribution networks. This may limit the reach into the market. Another issue is the poor market penetration. So inability to penetrate into new markets can restrict the growth opportunities of the organizations. So globalization. Today, due to the globalization, the industries are facing lot of competition. There is upgradation in the technology, there is advancement in the technology, and the companies which are not able to upgrade themselves, they are using obsolete technology, so they are not able to compete in the global market. So the global competition, which is very big problem. So due to the policy of trade liberalization, opening up of markets, and exposure to the local industries to competition from international players, there is a technological advancement due to which there is a challenge from the global technology which can outpace the local industry ability to adopt according to the technological advancement. Another is there is a culture of outsourcing and offshoring. So because of these particular aspects, there is pressure of cost, quality issues are also arising. So pressure to reduce cost can lead to the outsourcing and offshoring, which is always not a good practice for sustainability. Another is the quality issue. So maintaining quality standards in the outsourced operations are also a challenge due to the lack of control on the outsourced operations. So we have discussed the various causes of the sickness of the industries. So now we will see what are the measures, what are the actions which are being taken at government level by different methods, by different instruments for reviving the sickness of the industries. So what are those industries, what are those institutes that we will discuss now? So there is a Board of Industrial and Financial Reconstruction, that is BIFR. So this particular institute was established under the Sikh Industries Companies Act 1985. So this was established with an aim to identify the Sikh industries and formulate rehabilitation plans. Another is the corporate debt reconstructing. So this is a mechanism to restructure debt and provide financial relief to the Sikh companies, and it also facilitates negotiation between the creditors and the Sikh companies. There is another initiative that is taken by the government, is the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code, shortly known as IBC. So this particular initiative provides a time-bound process for insolvency resolution, and it aims to maximize the value of assets and provide a fresh start to the Sikh companies. In order to support financially and to promote with the help of certain incentives, the government subsidizes and grants are available for the technology upgradation and modernization. The government also provide tax incentives and relief packages for the Sikh industries. There are certain initiatives also which are promoted, that is the mergers and acquisitions. With the help of this particular initiative, the government encourages healthy companies to acquire and revive the sickness or the Sikh units. It also facilitates through strategic partnership and collaborations. Now, let us discuss in detail the functions and what is the contribution of Board of Industrial and Financial Reconstruction in reviving the Sikh industries. So this particular institution or the board was established under the Sikh Industrial Companies Act in 1985, and this body functions as a quasi-judicial body to oversee the revival and rehabilitation of the sick industrial units. The functions of this body includes identification of the sick units based on the financial criteria such as accumulated losses and erosion of the net worth. Then it also formulates plans and approves the rehabilitation schemes for the revival of the sick units. After that, it also monitors the implementation or ensures that these schemes and implementation of these schemes are working as per the or meeting the compliance needs or not. So the companies who are accumulated with the losses equal to or exceeding their net worth can make reference to the BIFR, and after conducting investigation, after conducting inquiry, BIFR determine the sickness level and the viability of the unit, and if it is convinced, if it is okay with the condition, then if it found viable, then BIFR sanctions a rehabilitation scheme involving financial reconstruction, restructuring. The scheme provides financial restructuring, management changes, and operational improvements. Now, under this particular initiative, corporate debt restructuring voluntarily carries out various schemes to facilitate the restructuring of corporate debts of viable entities facing temporary financial distress. So it aims to support companies in regaining their financial health and avoiding the bankruptcy in future. So how does it carry out all these aims? There is a CDR cell which is constituted to review and approve restructuring proposals. Agreements are done which involves rescheduling of the loans, a reduction in the interest rates, and conversion of debt into the equity. This platform also brings together the lenders and the borrowers to negotiate and agree on the restructuring plan. So there is a coordination of the shareholders. So it also looks into the eligibility that the company with multiple banking arrangements or consortium lending arrangements, and the company should also demonstrate potential for viability post restructuring. So looking at the eligibility, the support is being extended to the particular industry. The another very prominent effort is the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code. So this code was enacted in 2016, providing a comprehensive and time-bound insolvency resolution process. So this particular code or the law maximizes the value of assets and ensure the smooth exit or revival of distressed companies. So let us see the process. So insolvency proceedings can be initiated by the creditors or the company itself. After the initiation, the IBC appoints to manage the company during the resolution process, that is the insolvency resolution professional. a committee known as a Committee for Creditors is formed to evaluate and approve the resolution plans. Then this particular uh, plan must be approved by the COC, that is the Committee of Creditors, and the National Company Law Tribunal. So because of the initiatives of this particular code, the approval of the resolution plan to revive the company can be done, and if there is no viability regarding the plan, and if it is approved, the company may be liquidated, and they have to repay to the creditors. Now, some others financial support and incentives. So, government subsidies and grants are given. So, there is a technology upgradation fund scheme, that is TUFES, which provides subsidies for upgrading technology in the industry like textiles. There is also facility for the capital subsidy, which offers the financial support for purchasing modern machinery and equipments for the revival of the Sikh industry. The government also extends some tax incentive schemes. It gives income tax exemptions, some concessions in the GST. So there is a tax holiday and deductions for the rehabilitated units. There are refunds and exemptions under the GST, that is the goods and service tax, for the units which are undertaking significant restructuring. So these initiatives promotes the Sikh units, and they encourage for the reconstruction. Then there is also initiative taken, or there is also some encouragement for promoting the mergers and acquisitions. So the government extends extends some kind of incentives for the acquisitions, for the mergers. They encourage for the strategic partnership. So financial incentives and tax breaks for the healthy companies acquiring Sikh units are being offered. Then the support from the entities like the Department of Promotion of Industry and Internal Trade, that is DPIIT, in facilitating the mergers and acquisitions. So these are some initiatives which helps the Sikh units for their betterment. So all these benefits the organizations. This lead to synergy creation, that is combining resources, technology, and expertise to revive the units, and it also strengthen the market position by consolidating the operations and reducing the competition. In addition to this, there are certain industry specific and sector specific special packages for the Sikh units, like industry specific packages such as textile industry, jute industries. There are various subsidies, grants, financial packages which are being provided for the modernization and for the upgradation of the technology, for the diversification of jute industry into other byproducts of the jute based products. Then next is the sectoral interventions. There are various packages related to the various sectors, namely the steel industry, automobile industry. So for steel industry, there is a financial restructuring, and government procurement support to stabilize the industry. In the automobile industry, also the government provides incentives for adopting the new technology and expanding the market exports. So these are the specific packages for the support of these industries. Another institutional supports and capacity building initiatives include technical and managerial assistance. So there are certain training programs, for example, the training program conducted by National Institute of Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises helps these industries to enhance the managerial skills of the employees. Then consultancy services are also offered by the government bodies and industry associations for promotion of financial restructuring. The government also helps in the research and development by providing grants for the research and development, for funding for the innovations and development of new products and processes within the organization. It also helps in the collaboration with the research institutes, like partnership with the institutions like the CISR, that is Council for Scientific and Industrial Research, for the purpose of technology transfer and development. So students, in this lecture we have understood what is industry sickness, what is a sick industry, what are the characteristics of sick industries, what causes industrial sickness, and we have also seen the various initiatives, the role which is played by the government through various schemes, through various rules and regulations. I would like to conclude here that the industrial sickness is often the result of combination of several factors rather than a single factor. So addressing to these issues will require a holistic approach involving strategic management, financing the restructuring, technological upgrades, and supportive government policies. So by understanding and mitigating these causes, industries can work towards regaining financial health and operational efficiency. The government measures to address industrial sickness it has to take a holistic approach involving the financial reconstructing, then regulatory support and strategic inventions are very important. So by providing a framework for identification of the sick industries, rehabilitation support and revival, these measures aims to restore the viability of sick industries and protect the jobs and contribute to the economic growth of the nation. So, however, the success of these initiatives relies on effective implementation, coordination among these stakeholders, and continuous monitoring to ensure sustainable recovery. So, students, this is all for today. Thank you very much.